Hi, today we are discussing a very interesting topic about Hindu science. We know religious science is most important one nowadays comparatively than the earlier period. Because the influence of regional aspects in all the religion across the world is in a holometabolic aspects and involvement of all the personalities on religious ways unquestionable nowadays. Now, I suggest you to understand what is Hindu science. You may heard about the Hindu philosophy. You may heard about Hindu mythology. You may heard about Hindu epics and Vedic topics even. All those things communicated about the Hinduism, not the Hindu science. I am not talking about the Hindu science alone. When we are considering all the religions across the world, they have their own views and aspects and philosophy. But today, when I am discussing this topic, I need to be a Hindu because that is forced me perfectly. Not only the aspects of caste, creed, community or social impact, nothing. Just as part of many analysis and study, I have been influenced the literature of Hinduism since many thousand years. I was used to study all those topics without any limitation from my masters, ancient personalities, and learned religious experts. But I was not convinced all those days. Just since the beginning of my study about the religions, Hindu religion, Christian religion, Islamic religion, Shinto religion, Saurashtrian religion, Sikh religion, like all 9 religions across the world, I used to analyze very specifically and their root cause and analysis. Fundamentally, that all those times I was against the religious aspect and everything seen under the flag of religion has been felt as wrong. But after 2-3 decades, it's in a higher aspect to religious sciences as part of my research. I cannot be a religious researcher, but I used to study about the religions. Since 25 years, when I am very serious about the identification, a remedy on disability, that was hit me, the in-depth knowledge and the hidden aspect of Hindu science. Dear friends and parents, just should I say that nobody will not feel the pain without they feel it. I remember, if my finger burns within fire, yes, naturally I will put my finger to the tongue to get it wet and for some relaxation. Likely, of course, I know, you will also do the same. Likely, I have been digging for a technology for disability and deformity. Just many of the ancient masters discussed this topic in many patterns and many styles, in many versions, that disability can be normalized. but nobody says agree. I was finding in many books, many all available text and informations I used to verify. And I refer all the medical terminologies. All the local medical terminologies across the world, all the scientific parameters were I used. But I was not satisfied when I am going through such technologies and informations. At last, I got the total core point ideas from Hindu science only. I'm not only talking about the disability and deformity factors. All the Hindu philosophies are connecting with a corresponding science that can be provable in a laboratory. Today, I am discussing with you about the science of disability, which is connecting to the Hindu science and the Hindu philosophy. This topic we are interacting today perfectly. Just you can ask any question while hearing this topic, and even after hearing this topic, and if you are not able to ask me any question in person right now, you can mail me even using my email ID. And always I used to appreciate. It is not the topic for discuss right now. It can be an interactive topic for any time, at any manner. Okay, I am coming to the point that in 1986 I started to dig the information in all branch of science, all area of literature or religious science, and all the countries and 5 continents. I used to search the areas how I can find a terminology and a apt technology to normalize the disability. At last, I got a few inscripted books which is wrote by ancient masters. The first and almost one, routing the old technologies with the appropriate directions, is Vaisesika Sutra. Vaisesika, as per the terminology, it is a philosophy according to the Hindu mythology, as part of darshanas. The Shat Darshana is one of the branch of Vedic science, and these darshanas are the major philosophies in Hindu mythology and terminology, as well as philosophy also. But the Vaisesika Sutra alone, it is a true technology talking about the cause and its analysis, identification of a cause, and a remedy for a cause if any type of disability happened in a human body. That is different than the other terminology or other philosophical talk. We know perfectly the oldest and richest technology, science, culture, as well as philosophy is Hindu and science. Even that started before the Greek mythology. But nobody was aware about that nowadays. After 700 AD, the core books and the literature has been lost, and there is no personalities to communicate the furthermore topics related with this disability factor, and what means in fact Vaisesika factor. Vaisesika means differently abled. Okay, Vaisesika factor. And if there is a master, then only it can be transformed into another person as a technology. A test alone will not give any information. That can be an annotation. That annotation cannot be experimented in a laboratory or provable in a practical life. That has been happened between. But right now, after all the pros and cons, verifications and trials and errors, it is a true factor that the Hindu science is a complete system to manage any of the human condition at any cause and any factor. You know, Vaisesika Sutra is a series wrote by many ancient sects and rewritten later 400 BC by Sage Kaishapa and 4th BC by Sage Kanada. But the translation and interpretation cannot be rooted to the practical biological science of disability, but the Vaisesika Sutra as it is meant by the disability process. All of the Hindu mythology and Hindu philosophy always explains about all the materials and its composition is based on 5-element principle. But in Vaisesika Sutra, it is not by 5 elements. It is clearly wrote in Vaisesika Sutra, that's Prithvi, Apas, Tejo, Vayu, Akasha, Atma, Idi, Dravyani. You've seen that this 9 substance used in Vaisesika Sutra. This 9 substance, it is not a philosophical aspect. It is not a technical aspect even. It is a scientific aspect. It is explained the 9 substance is the combination of a cell, a micromolecular part of a human body is consist with the 9 substance. All the proportions and ratio of this 9 substance is equally in the permitted law of the composition that can be a healthy cell, a healthy atomic particle in the body. This has been explained by the ancient Indian sages who was Hindu scientist. They explained about if the composition and proportion with the ratio of all these 9 substances, that person will become a healthy, beautiful, active, normal personality. Out of this, any of the 9 substances, any one is not in the perfective compartment parameter of the logical algorithm as per the ratio and proportion, and the basis of the percentage of imbalance of the proportion of substance is leading to the corresponding percentage of the disability and deformity. This is explained in Hindu science about disability. And in their each and every cell in a human body is constructed with 9 cells of particles, 9 compartments of each cells. And each cell is attributed with many things that I am discussing later. Now, the substance of 9 compartments is proportionally organized as per the algorithm of the human cell, is a technical and a scientific explanation about a normal being. And any of the substance in this 9 substance is damaged or imbalanced or out of the proposition, that cell can be damaged. That particle can be damaged. Unlike each and every particle and cell is damaged, that body can be appropriately disabled as per the theory of Hindu science and the Vaisesika sutra. And you know, there is a perfect terminology which is detailed explanation, and there is a perfect methodology to find out which particle in which substance and what attribute it has been lost. Is it a parental cause? If so, in what time it was caused, it was happened? Is it a pre-conceiving statement or kind of before conceiving a pregnancy? Then, if so, is it a parental factor or is it a mother factor? Is it a father factor? If it is a father factor, what cause and what substance and what number of attribute has been lost before conceiving a pregnancy? If it is a mother part, what substance and what attribute were lost during the pregnancy conceiving? What Vaisesika explained about the conceiving of a childbirth, that is the largest metabolism or explosion in a human womb of a mother, and that is an atomic fusion. 47 minutes onwards happening this fusion, the inside baby is starting to grow perfectly. And each and every movement developing this growth process is supported by the particle distribution through the umbilical cord of the mother of the inside baby. And whatever the process of metabolism happening in the body and mind of a mother, after conceiving a pregnancy inside her, that all the emotional factors of the mother's body can be converted as a corresponding chemical or a hormone. That will affect perfectly to the insider, and the demand of the materials, particles, minerals and carbohydrate of the inside baby during the pregnancy period can be damaged or limited. That is generally called a logistic system dispensing by the mother through the umbilical cord to the child inside. That is the largest supply chain management system naturally developed by the nature since starting the history of being. In this factor of the terminology of a child, all the emotions and the chemical transformation and exchange of the mother's mental, physical, social and all other conditions will directly affect to this child were conceived inside. Appropriate compulsory transformation and distribution of particles by the umbilical cord of the mother is the proper management system to develop gradually the child from tail to head. Here is the important scientific factor told by the Hindu science since many thousand years back. Human being is developing by tail, not by head. The terminology of Hindu science about the human being truly explains through the Vaisesika Sutra. Each and every human being started its development and growth from tail only, not from head. So all the mechanism and metabolism is happening in the human being, and the development is happening from the vertebral column that is pumping from the tail and that is establishing to the head. That is happening, not only happening during the pregnancy stage, but even after the pregnancy. Just cutting the umbilical cord and separating the mother and the infant separately, if the child is able to conceive his own requirement by himself without the support of the umbilical cord of mother, is called a childbirth. This is the scientific part of Vaisesika Sutra, which is explained perfectly by the ancient sage of Hindu science. That is the only science which truly explained about the human metabolism. I don't know how much you are aware about this version of human development. A Hindu science perfectly explaining about this terminology, how to develop a child. If suppose after disconnecting the umbilical cord and separating the mother and child, and without supporting the mother to the child and not able to develop the child by himself, that we used to call disability. In such a disability, there is a perfect technology to identify when, where, how that disability was happened, this particular child who is disabled. There is a terminology. In what substance, in which attribute, at what percentage that has been happened. After this detecting this particular format of the substance and its attribute, definitely that we can detect, re-implement and regenerate. There is many associate books it is called to support this Vaisesika Sutra after happening a perfect disorder and making it to order. So, the first science about the disability of Hindu science is truly explained about each and every child be healthy, be normal, is free from any disability. That's the primary science. There is more than 64 other sciences to make it better, perfectly that any child can be a perfect person. Any disabled can be a perfect person. Any abnormal can be a perfect person. This told by the Hindu science that we use to prove in the laboratory, and we can prove it anywhere. that we did. Like any of the human desire can be satisfied according to the scientific manner and the scientific experiments of and the scientific interpretation of Hindu science with its cause, that with its own language. The only limitation happens it's earlier that the language was very shortened because Sanskrit language have a depth of rich contentive terminology and multi-meaning with a particular word that is more than enough to write about more than 100 words, even single word. Maybe the non-availability of understanding the continuing education about the Sanskrit literature has been some limit to understand about the Hindu science, or an appropriate deep version of scientific translation of Sanskrit cannot be made in English or other local languages, which is communicative fluently to any personalities. That can be the limit. What I have to state to you right now that you should be a Hindu. It is mandatory because if you are able to understand the Hindu science perfectly, you can live perfectly without any ailment or any disability or dissatisfaction. That you will reach the ultimate pleasure, ultimate satisfaction and the realization of consciousness. That explains about Hindu science. That shows you about Hindu science. It is not literature. It is not a philosophy. It is true science. The Hindu as it is a science. There you cannot respect a religion. You respect the science, Hindu science. If you are ready to learn the Hindu science, just come to us. Keep on continuing the watching our episodes. Thank you for the day.